Hi, welcome to our channel. So basically today we are going to understand about the bricks, beads and boards. This is the very first chapter that reflects about the Harappan civilization. Now before we can understand anything about Harappan civilization, we have to understand about what is history. Because there are three levels in the history. We have a prehistory, we have a proto-history and we have a history. So when we are talking about this history is about when we have a written evidences for something. So whenever we are talking about the written evidences, that is history. Then we have a prehistory and proto-history. Prehistory is something for which we do not have any written evidence. And proto-history that reflects Harappan civilization. Actually, proto means transition. But why we are saying Harappan civilization as proto-history and not as history? Yes, we have written evidences. Okay, well, but whatever we have, it is not deciphered. You can see that there is a script over here, but we will not be able to decipher this language. We don't be able to read this. So that's why we are in the process of proto. We cannot say it is a prehistory because we have written evidences. Okay, so whenever there is no written evidences, we will call it as a prehistory. One more thing people you have to understand is, I just termed three now, prehistory, proto-history and history to you people. But another thing that is very importantly you have to understand is, so with the beginning of the world, earlier these are the Stone Age people. By the time these people have evolved into a full-blown human beings, where they started civilization and they started using metals. The very first metal they started using is the copper. After that copper, they started mixing copper with tin. So this becomes the bronze. And this led to the establishment of the Harappan civilization, where people are interacting, people are doing trade. So let's talk about it. What is the feature and the characteristics of the civilization here? When we are talking about the Harappan civilization, this is the civilization. We have a different time periods. I am just coming on to it. There are basically three chronologies of the three phases or three layers of it. But we have a lot of different names for it. Saraswati civilization, Indus Valley civilization, then Harappan civilization, then some people also called is as the Bronze Age civilization. So we have a different terms. Why Indus Valley? Because Sindhu civilization. So why Indus Valley? Because it is found near the Indus Valley. Another is Harappan civilization. This was one of the first site which is discovered. Harappa and the Mohenjo-daro are the very first site which was discovered over here. Then another thing is that why Saraswati? Because many sites are located near the Saraswati river as well. So basically, just because of this, we have a different names allocated to it. Another important thing is, it is a contemporary of the other civilization as well. It is not the one which is an isolated civilization. Along with that, we have a in the Bronze Age civilization itself, we have a Egyptian civilization, we have a Mesopotamian civilization as well. Later on, we will see that China also developed a civilization near Yellow River. But majorly, we will see that with the Mesopotamia, they are regularly doing exchange of trade. So now, you have to, another important thing, there is a huge expansion and spread of these sites like Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, UP, Gujarat, Maharashtra. We will actually see all of the sites scattered over this region. Even at the Maharashtra, the southernmost site is in the Jammu and Kashmir, and the northernmost and the southernmost is in the Maharashtra at Damabad. So, but with that we get to know that the huge area is allocated for this. Another thing, let's talk about the chronology now. So there are three Harappan phases which you have to understand it. Majorly whatever we will understand about the sites like Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, okay, all of this come to understanding just because of this mature Harappan phase. All of that, whatever we are getting evidences, town planning, weights, major trade, everything is something that is attributed to the this phase, mature phase. But we have also early Harappa and the late phase as well. So let's talk about this. if you're talking about this early Harappa phase, it's dated to the 6000 BC. Different regions have different dates. Some people call it 15500 because this is something parallel to the Neolithic as well. Neolithic, where they are started using polished tools, started using agriculture, started using animal husbandry, but still they are evolving. So sometimes we get a parallel as well. If you ever see, this is a site, Harappa is a site which is very near to the very first site which we discovered in the Neolithic region, that is Mehergarh. So we also get evidences for the same. Now, but another thing is there are so many theories for the decline of the Harappans as well. The third phase which we talk about is 1900 to 1300, where we will see that whatever they have created in the mature Harappan phase, it began to decline. So, what are the major cities which you have to understand and which you have to remember? I believe these are the 5 major and 5 important. Rest are also important, but we have to understand these 5 very importantly. Rakhigarhi, Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, Dholavira and Ganeriwala. But please understand Harappa and Mohenjo-daro both are important because these are the first 2 sites which are discovered. Harappa was discovered by the Dayaram Sahani and Mohenjo-daro by the R.D. Banerjee in 1920 and 21 respectively. John Marshall has made the formal announcement in the 1924 to all over the world that India has a civilization which can be dated back to the one of the ancient and the oldest civilization. Now coming back to it, what are the major Harappan sites? So this is something that you people have to understand. Sometimes the question would be asked that what are the sites that is near this Mohenjo-daro, near the Indus River. So you have to aware of that. Which sites in the Gujarat, Lothal and the Dholavira, then Rajasthan, Rakhigarhi, Haryana, Ganeriwala, Nageshwar. So these is something that you people have to understand among the all major Harappan sites. Now, if we talk about the structure, in each and every city, the city was divided into 2 parts. How the city was divided? Let's talk about it. Firstly, every city has a citadel. Citadel is a raised platform where you will see mostly people attribute that these are wealthy people or people who are holding resources used to live. So I have just created this. You can see it is an elevated portion rather than there is a portion that this is known as the lower town, where you will see there is no such good house planning or the town planning is there. They are not specifically walled, no proper protection is provided to them. Even the houses are not of that good quality the way we find in the citadel. Okay, another thing is every time you will see that the streets are actually in a right angle. Wherever you see they are making a right angle grid and they are laid out neatly in the houses. No doubt even lower town is not that much developed, but the quality remains same. The layout planning is there as well. So you just have to understand. Another thing that you should remember is citadel is always in the left side and lower town is in the right side. Every city has this planning, whether it's Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, Kalibangan, but you have to also understand there are sites where we do not have any citadel, that is like Chanu-daro, or we have sites where we have 3 structures as well, citadel, middle town and lower house or lower town, that is Dholavira. So you have to aware of this as well. Moving forward, now let's talk about the house, walls, wells and drains. Very importantly, each and every house as well. So we almost found 700 wells from the Mohenjo-daro itself. Then they all have a courtyard where they can do weaving and other activities. So there would be a home and in the middle they have a courtyard. Every bathroom has a drain which is jointly maintained to the street. This is a common feature you can see, and this long where a human can stand, that sort of capacity is there. Mackay, another important historian, called the drainage as the most important ancient system that is covering channels, having breaks, some screening and Not only this, they are providing a proper design. Now, the city, whenever we are talking about this, another important architecture which you have to understand is citadel and the great bath. What is great bath? Basically, great bath is the one which is carried out for the public bath. So whenever we are today, we see that people used to go to ghats for the rituals, for bathing, for purification. So this is something that can go back to the Bronze Age civilization itself. Another thing is it is basically a tank, a large rectangular tank, where the steps is from the north and the southern side, and it is actually first example of the water saving, and not only water saving, it is actually lined up with the bitumen, so there will be no leakage. So gypsum and mortar was used, so that make it watertight. Water flowed here to the huge drain panels, and not only this, since this is not an actual image, there are so many rooms allocated here, so many people believe that this is a space where they used to change the clothes right there. And along with the great bath, we have in another room where we will find a priest king, a priest king, which is also associated with the Narendra Modi image. So some people believe it that he was the political leader as well. So these are development over there. Now, if you talk about the Neolithic era, in the Neolithic era, they started agriculture. They are starting animal husbandry, that is domestication of animals, using animals for the production of the food. But now a full-fledged agriculture was there. We find two plows as well from Banavali and Kalibangan. From Kalibangan, we also find a proper site where they have two furrows, the land was divided. The term Kalibangan itself actually suggests black bangles. From the site, we have a lot of black bangles associated with it. Then now we also get a chaired grain. From that we get to know that their diet is able to reconstruct from that. They were using wheat, barley, lentil, chickpea. So there is a huge variety of it. Since with the terracotta bull is there, so we get to know bull was used for the agriculture. Then we find a lot of saddle corns. Water was also already there. Apart from that, we also see that semi-precious stones was used in a large and huge quantity, and we see that there is a site called Shotuguri in Afghanistan, majorly having these trade centers. Then Chanutaro, a very small site, but there we find a lot of drills which were used in order to make jewelry. You can see carnelian, jasper, uh, crystal, quartz, copper, bronze, gold, everything was used, and they have a specialized drills for it. So first they have these 5 yellow stones, and then they first chip the rough part, then grinding it, then polishing it, and then finally making the tools. So Chanudaro, Lothal and Dholavira, there we find specialized drill. Not only this, we also find lipstick as well. You can see that there are Harappan beads which are used over here. Another thing is they are cross connected to the other regions as well. Mesopotamia, since we are not be able to understand the Harappan civilization script, but we will be able to read the Mesopotamia. So there we will get to know that they are calling Harappans as Melua, and they all are connected, Dilmun, Bheren, Melua. So since they are all are connected, so let's see how it is happening. So basically in the Harappan region, they are taking the trade and then they are getting back to the Mesopotamia. Here they are taking to the Mesopotamia, then Dilmun, Bheren. You can see both cheese, weights, the gold, carnelian, oh, everything was exchanged over there. Then, but sadly, let's talk about the third phase. By the when we called it as 1900 BC, we see there is a decline in the town planning, decline in trade, and there are so many answers for it. Some people believe it that Mohenjo-daro got floods. Some believe it that Aryans came up and that led to the Aryan massacre. Then some people also believe that there is a tectonic plates. Then some people believe it that Saraswati River, which we have seen in the beginning, that began to decline. So ultimately people have a different agendas and different ideas about it. But you have to understand it, that this is something many people believe it that by that time Harappan abandoned, and that led to the people move from the Punjab area to the more eastern region, and that led to the establishment of the Vedic civilization later on. Another important thing, I just tell you, in 1920 and 21 the major developments were there. But before that, even if you see, then Alexander Cunningham was the first one who found out the seals and then ultimately further led to the discoveries. Then another thing is, just I refer to this Mohenjo pre-string I wanted to show you at the later on. Last thing not least, you just have to remember this. If we talk about this, as of now, we have been able to discover almost 2000 sites from it. We have 5 major sites. Earlier it was considered Harappa and Mohenjo-daro as the biggest, but now it is believed that the Rakhi is. No doubt it is not properly excavated. Reason is because it is already well established city and people are don't want to even migrate for the excavation process. The major evidences we are finding is this. We are getting 700 wells. Then brick length is this. Apart from that, almost, why this will not be able to decipher it, because we have a 375 to 400 symbols. Another thing is, they used to write from left to right and they have a Beresford style. What it is that they go to left to right, then right to left, then left to right. So they follow this pattern, and by 1924 everyone get to know that Harappan civilization was discovered. So this is something, a very small glance of Harappan civilization. For any questions, please let me know.